This holiday season, there are absolutely going to be situations where you just do not have time to cook for a party. I totally get it. That's where knowing how to put together a meat and cheese board comes in super handy. I'm Michelle from Cup of Zest, and today I'm going to show you how to build a fall-themed meat and cheese board that's going to be so good. Firstly, I want to make it super clear that in my world, there are no set rules on how to build a cheese and charcuterie board. Add as many olives as you want. Don't add olives. Maybe just do cheeses, maybe just do meats. It's all good. Whatever floats your boat, you do you. On the other hand, there are some guidelines that you might want to follow so you can build a really awesome fall-themed meat and cheese board. Let's start by talking about the types of meats and cheeses we're going to use for our fall-themed spread. In general, I think having a combo of like 6 meats and cheeses is an ideal way to go. And for today's spread, we're going to have 4 types of cheeses and 2 types of charcuterie. When picking out cheeses, you want to consider the flavor and then the texture that you want to have as part of your spread. I always love to include a nice aged cheese, and today we're using this 1,000-day aged Gouda. It's got a nice firm texture, it's aged 1,000 days. It's delicious. Next up, we've got one of my favorites, a nice bloomy rind cheese. Today we're using a camembert. It's similar to a brie, but with a little bit richer flavor. I always love to include a blue cheese on my meat and cheese boards, and today we are using a nice Stilton. It's got a semi-soft texture and it's a little crumbly. Lastly, you'll want to include a fresh cheese, which has a nice soft texture, and today we are using some goat. Hey Chev, hello guy. Now let's talk about the charcuterie. Honestly, I don't have any guidelines for this other than pick out something that you really like. Charcuterie tends to be a little expensive, so you want to make sure you pick some options that you love. Today, we're gonna go ahead and put some delicious sopressata on our cheese board. It's nice and marbled with lots of fat. Yum, fat equals flavor. And then we're also going to include some prosciutto because it's a favorite. Now let's talk about some things that are a must on all of my meat and cheese boards. All right, I love to have some crostini, crackers in general, but crostini are great. I like the texture of them. These are some Spanish crisp breads, love. And then we've got some fig and olive crackers from Trader Joe's because they're amazing. You also want to include something a little briny, a little salty, and we are gonna add some olives. Next up, something sweet. We're going with honey. It's one of my favorites. I think it goes really well with the Stilton. So honey it is today. You could do jams if you want to as well. Now let's go ahead and talk about what makes this a fall-themed meat and cheese board. So you might be thinking, Michelle, how is this fall-themed? It has to do with all the beautiful seasonal produce we're using. Hello. One thing that's super important to me really is trying to use seasonal produce. So on my fall-themed board, you will not be seeing any berries. Those belong for summer. So we're gonna include some sliced persimmons, some sliced apple, pomegranate seeds, and then just for fun, I like to add some whole fruit as well. It adds a little, extra fun to your board, an extra dimension of gorgeousness, so definitely do that. Okay, I think we've covered all of my guidelines for building a killer meat and cheese board for fall. We've got some meats and cheeses, we've got some delicious seasonal produce, whole pieces for beautifulness, and then some sliced pieces for eating. Some crackers, something a little sweet, something a little briny for our olives, and then I think I missed this. We've got some Marcona almonds that are that have rosemary on them. Those are fantastic for a fall board. And then roasted salted pumpkin seeds because pumpkin and fall, they go hand in hand. All right, so I think we're ready. Let's build this baby. All right, to start assembling, we're gonna put our cheeses on first. Shout out to my friend Megan who gave me this tip. You want to consider how people are gonna be eating your cheeses when you decide to place them. So things like this Gouda is really firm, so I've already cut it up into nice pieces. And if people need to cut more, the point is going out towards the board, so it's gonna be easier for people to cut more cheese off of that piece of cheese. And then we're gonna go ahead and put on our camembert. I already sliced this into nice little wedges because that's gonna be a nice little bite for someone to take. Yes, yum. You can also pull some of these wedges apart. It looks really nice this way. A little artsy action over here. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and put our goat cheese down. I'm placing it at the edge of the board so it's easy for your guests to cut pieces off. And now we're gonna go ahead and add our Stilton. It's semi-soft, a little crumbly. Again, edge of the board. And I'm gonna leave this just like this because it's soft enough for people to cut it themselves. Next, I like to add the jars of things that are gonna go on the board and just stay in the jars, like the honey, like the olives, and then our pomegranate seeds. And you just kind of wanna play with them and place them wherever feels good. So this feels good for me right now. I can easily move them around later. Next, we're gonna add our whole fruits. These act as like a nice base for things. So we're gonna put them down first. Again, we can remove them if there's too much going on. I also didn't mention that I like to have some fruit with leaves on it, like this beautiful persimmon has this nice stem, and this guy still has a leaf on there. It just adds a little something extra to your board and, you know, makes it feel very fall and festive. So we'll put these guys here. Some pomegranate action. We got a lot of green up here, so maybe a little red. That looks nice. Couple of these apples, our little baby crab apple situation. I also cut these in half and I poured a ton of lemon juice on them so they don't brown. Same thing with the slices that we'll add later. They have a ton of lemon juice on them. They won't brown, they'll still look nice and pretty. Cool, looking good so far. Ooh, ooh. Next, let's add our crackers. And I don't know if I said this, but don't worry about, you know, making this look perfect. Just go for it, try things out. The more you build meat and cheese boards, the better you'll get as far as like making things look really pretty visually. But in the end, it's all about having a delicious, easy to make dish, which I'm gonna call this a dish, for that party, so you don't have to cook. So don't stress out about it too much, but I'm just trying to give you some tips so you can like build a really beautiful board when you get there. All right, we'll put some more cheese. Oh, this isn't cheese, this is bread. Some more bread over here, some little crostini. Things can hang off the sides. I love these crisp breads because they have some fun texture and shape to them. It makes the board visually appealing. So, you know, don't worry about having everything like exactly the same shape or size. Having variation makes things look really beautiful and natural. All right, we're getting there. We're gonna add our meat next, okay? So one thing I like to pay attention to is that I still leave the cheeses really easy to access. You don't want to put meat here because people aren't going to be able to get their cheese. Same here. This is a nice little safety zone for people to be able to cut this beautiful Stilton. So keep that in mind when you're building your cheese board. Let's get some of this prosciutto in there. If it tears up, no big deal. And then I just like to do little folds with it. Alright, one more piece. We're gonna stick it with its buddy right here. Alright, this is looking very abundant. I do have some meat left over, which is great because I can pop this into the fridge, and if I need to replenish, we'll have nice chilled meat to go on our platter. Next, we're gonna add in our fruit. So we're adding our persimmons and our apple slices in. We're just gonna put these, I know this is getting really tight and cramped, but it looks very abundant and pretty, and that's what we're going for. Now again, you can move some things around as you go. If you need to add in anything. Oops. We might as well put some persimmons in there. Okay, so this is pretty epic, right? An epic fall meat and cheese board. We've got two more things to add. Let's go ahead and do it. Basically, you're just gonna take your almonds and kind of fill in any gaps you see. So like right there, you can go on top of things. Totally fine. Not on top of the cheeses though. Hello, come on little almonds. Some right over here. Go in this little gap. Hello abundance. Hello deliciousness. And then some of our pepitas. Like seriously, there really isn't any room for these, but we're gonna make a little space. I think over here. Hello epic fall meat and cheese board. Oh, I've got a little seed right there. I don't want it on the cheese. All right, it looks fantastic. It's very abundant. You got a nice fall abundance spread here. A couple things to remember. Make sure you have a little bowl to the side for the pits of the olives if they have the pits in them. And you want to include some fun utensils for people to be able to cut into this delicious food. Hello. All right, and I think that it? I got this cute little fork, and I think I might just stick it with the olives. Yeah. So you know you can like stab an olive. Ooh, on the spicy olive. All right, so I need to dig in. I'm definitely going for the Stilton, and I'm actually gonna go for this nice crisp bread. Just a little chunk here. Some honey for sure. Drizzle. So good. All of it. All of it. That's all I can say. I hope this video has given you some ideas on how to build your very own fall themed meat and cheese board. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe to my channel and I'll see you next time.